welcome into week 8 of the Fantasy Football Roundtable. It is myself, Justin Moeller, JMoeller05, along with my co-host, SC Romero, _ Jameis season is full in effect, baby. How you doing today, SC?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Yeah, Jameis season, baby. I mean, elevate your wide receivers, man, because we know Jameis likes to sling it. Cedric Tillman, I hope you grabbed him. I'm hoping this is Jerry Jeudy's season now, that he's just going to be getting the rock. He's getting the targets. He's just not getting the catches. So hopefully Jameis just moves the ball around. And Nick Chubb is back. I mean, what's lots of love, Cleveland. Let's stand up. This is something great. This is exciting. The first half of the season is gone. It wasn't the guys you wanted. But who knows? Maybe now this offense gets some, rejuvenation, if you will, in a sense, and they just dominate. I'm excited to see them. But yeah, Jameis season, baby.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting watching the offense. And I mean, they have a dreadful matchup this opening for Nick Chubb. So Nick Chubb, you're just going to be hanging out on the bench, buddy. I got you on a couple rosters. We'll come back to you later in the season. But this matchup, I'm like, I don't want to play you against Baltimore. Just no thank you. Right. But like you're saying, like could be Tillman, could be Jeudy. I think Njoku is really the biggest impact guy, but Tillman and Njoku were the highest like target read, like everything first read, everything on offense. So that stakes forward, man. Like Tillman was free, so if you got Tillman, you gotta be.
And Tillman, man, it was 18 targets, 12 receptions. Like I don't expect him to do that necessarily, but I mean, still, that's crazy, and that's what I'm saying. Like Jeudy, they're just Jeudy, bro. Like hopefully, again, new quarterback. Maybe he's feeling something different. He's like, excited to be on the team. We'll see, but that's big. That's gonna be interesting to see how that impacts. I have a Jeudy in a couple of places, and he's disappointed to say the least. So
yeah, he's carrying the name cachet, but I ain't doing much else, unfortunately.
Exactly.
I mean, if we look at like Joe Flacco's pass attempts last year when he took over, starting in week 13, it's 44 pass attempts, 45 pass attempts, 44 pass attempts, 42 pass attempps, and 29 to run out the season. Like it was, they were slinging that rock, and they tried to do it with Watson, right? They just couldn't. So we'll see. I mean, Jameis he's not going to be as bad as Watson. I'll just say that. I don't know how much better he's going to be, but it should be entertaining. So Cleveland, at least you'll have some fun games to watch, right? So
I think Jameis is not afraid to throw the deep pass. He's not afraid to take those shots downfield as well. So I think that's the biggest thing there for him, which is again exciting because that just elevates everybody in the passing offense. Buy into these Cleveland players, if you will.
Yeah, 100%. I think it makes that entire offense viable, right? Like we're talking about with these players. It's just we're kind of curious depending on the matchup and like with Nick Chubb and all those guys to see how it goes. So yeah, let's kind of jump into this. Like I guess the most important thing that happened this season were like the trades and all the players shifting teams. Let's kind of talk about the trade impact, and I'm curious to hear your take on how DeAndre Hopkins impacts that entire Chiefs offense, because the Chiefs are the most popular team in the NFL. Everybody talks about them. So why don't you give me your thought process on kind of how it works out for DeAndre Hopkins and the rest of those guys on the offense?
Well, one, it definitely elevates, right? Because even Andy Reid came out and said, I think it was Andy Reid that came out and said it, that they're going to use him in the Rasheed Rice, Juju Smith-Schuster role, which is the role we want to see, just someone that's moved around. Something like Arizona didn't do well. Even Tennessee, they're not moving him around as much as he can be utilized. So I think that will be huge for him and what he can do. And plus, you're getting, arguably the best quarterback to ever play the game, right? And we know Patrick Mahomes likes to sling it. He hasn't been doing it as much this season. It's really been, the wide receivers make him. Kelsey hasn't been doing good, but Kelsey's came together again now, starting to put up consistent back-to-back, like top tight end, one type of games. This is going to elevate the offense. Hopkins still has it. He's still a great wide receiver. I mean, where's my picture here? That's not that one. This one right here. I don't know if you can see it over here. Yeah. That's Hopkins, he's snagging over 3 Bills defenders. So he's definitely a talented wide receiver. And now you're putting him up with Patrick Mahomes. Kelsey takes a huge bump. And Pacheco's still, on pace to come back, I do believe. So that's something that they're going to be rolling as the season progresses. And this just elevates him. High-end wide receiver 2 right now, but I think he could be the impact of a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, that offense, because we saw last week Xavier Worthy was the focal point of that passing attack. He finally took that step forward. So my thought process is like, why not let Xavier Worthy play that slot role, like kind of the Juju role, since Juju and both Rashee Rice are out. But we've heard kind of talk from a few people in the industry and like potentially DeAndre Hopkins playing that kind of slot role in that offense, which is really interesting because where he's at in his career, he can still win on the outside, but he's not the guy that's going to continually beat man coverage every single play. He's just not that player anymore.
Yeah.
So if you bring him into the slot and kind of let him just like work in the middle alongside with Travis Kelce, I think it makes it interesting because you have another piece you can just trust. And if it's any similar to that role of what we've seen, like we're seeing the ghost of Juju get resurrected, I think DeAndre Hopkins can be very viable. So my whole take on this is I want to see this week one, how this plays out. And I mean, Andy Reid even said like, why wait? Just play him. So I'm to them to kind of just roll with it. It should be a fun offense, but there's a lot of ways. I don't think like it's either going to be DeAndre Hopkins or like Xavier Worthy. Like I think more than likely it kind of distributes among all of them. I don't know if anybody steps forward to being a wide receiver one, but it's Patrick Mahomes. It's really hard to just fade him.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is you could throw in Rice there, but Hopkins, if he's back to his normal self, this is the best he's been, right? Or it could be, going into this. Like you talk about quarterbacks he's played with, he hasn't played with slumps. I mean, you could say Levis now, but played with Murray, played with Watson when Watson was in Houston, right? So this is going to be something nice for them, and I just this is going to be a buy-in on him, and hopefully if he does do good, right, he is still 32. So if he does have a great season, he may be someone we talk about next week as like a sell high in a sense, unless you're competing, right? But if you're not, but you have Hopkins and it's just been a bad year, maybe you're 3-5 or so, or 3-4, or you're like friends and whatever, this could be a very possible way to ease out of an older receiver and get someone younger that might be struggling but might have some rise to them as well.
Yeah, I think like this is the ideal time to sell DeAndre Hopkins because you're likely not going like once the season's over, he goes back to just being worth nothing because of his age and everything. So if we're talking dynasty, like, and you don't need that production, which any team that's contending probably doesn't need the DeAndre Hopkins. Like you already have those pieces set up. So yeah, I would 100% just move him. Like I'd be fine doing that. If you want to ride him out regular season, like I get it, it's redraft. Like you don't, his value's not going to disappear in redraft, so it's just kind of fine. So. I guess between those two, like the rest of the season, would you rather invest in Xavier Worthy or DeAndre Hopkins? Who's the guy you would choose to bet on?
Rest of the season, definitely Hopkins, but obvious reasons you want to try to buy Worthy for Dynasty. But rest of the season, I mean, I think Hopkins is just stepping into that role. If anyone's benefiting more from it, it's going to be Kelce because now you have someone. Worthy's going to be nice, but if Hopkins demands that target share as an alpha, Worthy's boom or bust still, right? So I don't really trust where he's gonna get more targets. If anything, it's gonna be now he just may have open shots, so he may get those deep touchdowns, which will be great. But at the same time, that's not anything that's gonna want to invest in for the season. Again, more of a dynasty asset at that point.
Yeah, because like what we talked about earlier with like Worthy, he saw his highest expected fantasy points game. Like he didn't produce, he was well under production, but the role was there for him. I'm just waiting to see like how they slot in Hopkins in and where they play him because that's gonna be the biggest event for me. But we got some few questions. We might as well just like hop into these. So let's take these questions real quick and then we'll hop back into this. What are your thoughts on Wan'Dale? I think he'll have value next year. He's getting so many targets; it's hard not to like him at this point. Yes and no, because Wan'Dale is what we call these PPR scam guys. Like they're not vital pieces of offense, and they're extremely replaceable assets. Like you're not putting a guy out in the X wide receiver tumbling. You're telling him to do the underneath Mickey Mouse stuff. So like buying long term, like I would just rather wait and see how the Giants offense looks next year because they're going to bring pieces in. Like they have to bring pieces in. They have to change stuff up, right? So I don't mind like getting him. I think he's second in the NFL in targets. It's just that offense takes a significant hit. And we saw this with Minnesota with Christian Darrisaw going out. The vital left tackle, like it completely decimates the entire offense. And I think Andrew Thomas was the one like potentially their best player, better than Xavier Worthy. Like losing him really hurts that offense. So where are you kind of at with Wan'Dale now that they've lost like their best lineman? We saw in week one post Andrew Thomas like that. Well, it was a disaster offensively. Do you think he can kind of get back to that mid-level production he was, where he was just like a PPR scam guy, where he's getting 10 to 15 targets and being vital? Or are you kind of what we saw the last couple of weeks, where it's been kind of like up or down?
A little bit of both. I think Nabers is still getting back into it, right? So I think we're going to see more Nabers and better production from him as well. It comes down to Daniel Jones. We know that protection isn't there as strong anymore, so he needs to get the ball out more quicker, which I think is where Wan'Dale comes into handy because Nabers is more of the all-around route tree. He can run deep, he can run underneath, he can run outside. Whatever you want him to do, he can do that. Wan'Dale, he's going to do his best work inside up the middle in the short term. and then he could do the yards after that. His last season at Kentucky was phenomenal. This is really what we've been waiting for Wan'Dale. A lot of people love Zay Flowers, undersized physical receiver. That's what Wan'Dale Robinson is too. He just has that the quarterback efficiency that Flowers has had with Lamar Jackson. So I do like that production, and I think as we get further on the season, they're going to start to realize, all right, Daniel Jones does not have much time in the pocket as much, right? They're going to be like, this is reality. It's just not happening. Our guys aren't stepping up. So they're going to have to go on those short intermediate passes where I think Rondell ends up eating. Now, yards and stuff like that, he may be getting knocked because Daniel Jones hit him right into defenders. But I do think he starts to get more targets as we progress, again, because he's going to eat underneath where Nabers is going to be up top, and those are going to be the long shots that Daniel Jones is going to try to hit Nabers for. But I like him as a buy. As far as next year, may go up. It depends, right? Daniel Jones, we said this earlier. If Daniel Jones gets the team to be a top 15, draft pick, or bottom half, like the 15, 16. Right now, I think they're top 10. But if he gets them to be 15, 16, I don't know if they get a quarterback in the first round. I think, they realize the lineman's hurting. So this offensive tackle group is looking really nice. Maybe they go get Kelvin from Texas. Maybe they get one of the Michigan offensive linemen. They got some players here that can make some big plays to help protect them. And then maybe they invest in like a Jackson Dart, or maybe even Beck if he slides later on. So they're not wasting that first round draft pick on them. So I think it's going to be very important for Daniel Jones and the offense to realize the little things like, hey, we got to pass it. But I say that because then the value doesn't really change, right? If he does get a quarterback, maybe Cam Ward or Shador, then the value changes that they can, feed the ball around, and that elevates Wan'Dale even more. So value next year, I think we have to see what happens at the quarterback position.
Right. I think that, and then who they bring into the wide receiver room, right? Because outside of Wan'Dale and Nabers, they've liked Hyatt, but he's just been nothing. He's not running any routes. The guys in that offense, they still have a very limited depth chart. And what I mean by Wan'Dale running the Mickey Mouse, he has an average ADOT of 4.3. That's like running back range. Like that's what it's 101st among wide receivers. So like his role is extremely I know we like it for fantasy, but like real life NFL, it's not that valuable because I think only once he's been over 60 yards. It's 61, and I think 70 are his two highest weeks. The last couple of weeks have not been great. So you kind of know that this is you get it when you have it, and you just ride this out as long as you can. If they draft a wide receiver, which they could round 1 next year, it's entirely possible. I think they're going to go lineman because they just did it. But if they bring an impact wide receiver round 1, round 2, into this offense, then it's him and Nabers, and then Wan'Dale, he'd be to your point, it could go away rather quickly because it's just tough for players like him to consistently have this role and a team produce it, because based on value and how teams are playing the NFL now, they want more valuable plays. The Wan'Dale stuff just isn't high value to a team. So that's the thing that worries me long term. But yeah, Kenneth had a trade here where it was he sent away Godwin for Wan'Dale in an early third. This more gets into the issue with Godwin because he's an older wide receiver, and it's gonna bleed into next year. So I get why you did that. I don't know personally if I'm going after Wan'Dale because the long term thing is what worries me. But overall, I get it. It's just really hard to trade Godwin for anything valuable because but it's halfway through next year he comes back, and he's still due to that leg injury. We've seen it with players, it takes a long time to come back. So I mean, I get it. Which side?
Godwin's been hurt before too, right? So that just hurts him more. Where I think this person is taking a big shot on Godwin. With the season he had, he could have maybe got a second out of it. But because of his injury now, a third's good, and you got a younger wide receiver. Again, I think it comes back to the quarterback for the Giants, right? Because if you put Wan'Dale there where Baker's at in Tampa, switch the roles, Godwin's in a sense irrelevant behind Nabers, and now Wan'Dale's a little bit more relevant with Evan, right? So it depends on the quarterback situation for him. So I'm not disappointed in the trade. Good trade. Getting rid of a guy that's injured, and like you said, the age. This is a dynasty trade because you're trading picks. So I mean, you definitely built something for the future because there is some upside with Wan'Dale if he continues to have some sort of streak and just demanding some sort of targets.
Yeah, I think this is a contender move. It's got to be a contender move with Wan'Dale. If you're buying into Wan'Dale and you're trading away Godwin just because of how these two market, I'm looking right now, Godwin's wide receiver 34, keep trade cut. Wan'Dale's wide receiver 51, so there's a sizable gap between the two of them. I know not everyone uses keep trade cut. It's just a good reference point. like it's really hard with where Godwin's at in his dynasty ranking. So like that's kind of where it's like, all right, if you need it for a contender team and like you want to give you something to kind of replace that production, like yeah, I don't mind doing that. Personally, I would probably go after I would rather go get the Jalen McMillan in that Bucks offense because Godwin's a free agent. Particularly this issue of his contract, like and the ankle injury, like I don't know if Tampa's bringing him back. They might get a discount, he might come back, but it's just gonna be a long time back for him. So I get it. It's not bad. It's just people know kind of what Wan'Dale is, and they know the ceiling is there for NFL. So like that's kind of the thing. So value wise, you're really not going to get more than a second for Wan'Dale, even if he starts massively producing. Like that's what he was earlier. Right. We got one from Perico. Trade Mahomes for Breece plus Breece for Kyron and Jayden Daniels. Whew. I mean,
no, it's Trey Mahomes and Breece or Kyron for Jaylen Daniels, Pollard, and Nabers. Redraft Superflex, Arsenal, and none of Jefferson.
It's a massive upgrade quarterback. Like that's you can't like it's really hard to start Mahomes right now. Jayden Daniels is like QB1. The only problem is that injury. We don't know if he's missing a few weeks. That's the question mark. Obviously, Breece or Kyron are far more valuable than Nabers or Pollard, just where they're at. So I think it's if you want the quarterback, I'm taking that side. Like I'll take the Jayden Daniels side because Pollard's he's good. His team sucks though. And Nabers, same thing. He's a really good wide receiver. His team sucks on offense right now. So it's really hard with those guys. You're 2-5. I think I would more rather split the difference personally and get like maybe not the QB1 or 2, like maybe drop down like QB8 range, like go get a Kyler and go get a really valuable like impact producer along with him to kind of offset because Kyron's like 20 plus points. Breece is basically at RB1 with his usage last couple weeks. That's what worries me. How do you kind of view this deal?
Yeah, I'm taking the opposite. I mean, we were just talking about Mahomes and you know what possibly Hopkins could do. He gets another wide receiver, right? And it's crazy because we're from Rice, brought in Juju was doing good. Now they're going to Hopkins, right? So I mean, it's just. I think you ride at Mahomes. You hope A-Ritz hits. You know, we still believe, right? You hope Jameis Wilson slings it, and now you have 3 receivers. But the biggest deal is you're trading Breece for Kyron for Pollard and Nabers. I guess depending on who your other wide receivers are, because you said wide receiver 1 now is Jefferson. Great, that's fantastic. You're getting Nabers. Who? Why are you wanting Nabers? Like I'm assuming your wide receiver depth isn't great, but like at 2 and 5, I don't necessarily know Daniels, Pollard, Nabers helps you through the season better than Breece and Kyron, one or the other. Like I think both those guys have more impact, and then Mahomes could definitely shoot up as well. But again, if your wide receivers are hurting and you're moving from, I would do Kyron over Breece because I like what Breece is doing now, and we're not seeing Brayden Allen be there at all. So now you have Pollard and Breece. I would do that. But again, I just don't see the value here in Nabers with what we've seen with Daniel Jones now, with him missing his left tackle there. I think that's gonna hurt more than anything. But it depends on what your receivers are.
Yeah, like Nabers is still gonna be heavily targeted. Like he's going to be the vocal point of that offense. All of that. It brings down the floor and ceiling a little bit with the like. This is the whole Andrew Thomas thing. This is what worries me about with the Giants offense. And it's not the same situation that's Minnesota where they have the infrastructure, the better pieces around it to kind of sustain it. Like it brings everything down just because the lack of talent there. So that's what worries me. For redraft, I still love Nabers. He's like borderline still wide receiver 1 with Jefferson and Dynasty. But in redraft, like you have Jameis Winston, you could still play Jameis Winston. So you could go with these 2 quarterbacks and you could just kind of ride it like with Mahomes and Jameis Winston. And then you have Anthony Richardson as like the high end upside quarterback, right? But yeah, like I have a hard time trading either Breece or Kyron because I just think they're going to be much more valuable than the 2 pieces you're getting back, and that's the hardest part. And if you're 2 and 5, like you can't really lose any more weeks, and you're buying into Jayden Daniels, and if he misses this week, are you okay with that? So that's the whole roster construction thing.
So
that's my bigger issue. If I knew Daniels was playing, there's no injuries, I can understand it, but the fact he might miss multiple weeks, like we don't know if he's playing this week, so that's my concern with him. And given your record. If you were 5 and 2, I would say, yeah, you could probably take on the uncertainty, right? Because you got 2 and 5, like you go to 2 and 6. If you go to 2 and 7, it's basically like sayonara, right? So personally, I'm a little bit worried about that deal. So that's kind of where I lean on it.
So this would be a great deal in Dynasty, though. I would do this all day in Dynasty. It'd be a whole different story. You're getting Daniels and Nabers. Yeah, let's do it, right?
Yeah, that's an absolute smash.
Yeah, for sure. Like I don't care. Pollard could be 80 years old. I'm still getting Daniels and Nabers. So
you're still getting production for Pollard. He's like a wide receiver, or sorry, a running back, mid-range running back too. Even though he's like his usage is really good. The offense just sucks. All right, let's go to this question. PPR, Otton or Kraft? That's interesting. Do you have your rankings up?
Yeah.
I think I put Otton really, really high this week because I was like, dude, it's just nothing. I still have Kraft higher because they're playing Jacksonville, and I get it. But Otton, I don't mind. Like I think Otton's a must-play tight end from this point moving forward. Like we saw, and like once that offense really went with Evans and Godwin, Otton became the focal point of the passing attack. And I was hearing Nate Tice talk about this, and they were talking about like Otton could be involved in kind of the screen game usage as well too, because who's ever getting that Godwin screen game usage is going to be the most valuable player. Like Otton just seems like he's going to be the most dependable option in that offense. The offense is going to take a hit. We'll see how it goes. But I have Kraft. Do you have Kraft higher this week or Otton?
Yeah, I have Kraft. I have Kraft at 6 and Otton at 11 right now. I agree with you. We're hoping it's McMillan, right? I think that's it. And Trey Palmer was relevant at the end of last season. Hopefully he comes in. No Sterling Shepard's there as well. So Shepard or Palmer is going to be over that Mike Evans role. And they drafted Jalen McMillan to be Chris Godwin. I mean, he's the type of wide receiver that could run the same routes as Godwin, as efficient as Godwin. This is his chance to be in there. So if they don't do that, I don't know what's happening, but I expect that to happen. Whereas I know you mentioned trusted. He's been with Baker for a while now. This is it. So they have a connection. But still, he just said, Green Bay weapons back, but Jacksonville 31st. Yeah, I mean, Kraft, I think this is big. Biggest thing is, Kraft, Otton may see a little bit more targets because of what he's saying.
For sure.
Yeah, but Kraft, Kraft could definitely get the touchdowns there. So that'll be huge. So yeah,
I want to see it this week with Otton. If they could be like, I just want to see how much the offense falls apart. Like that's my biggest question with them moving forward. Because once like that, they were up heavily on Baltimore. They were dominating. Evans goes out and it shifts everything. Right, the offense just falls apart, and then they lose Godwin, and it's like, all right, we don't know what we're doing, and they didn't have a plan. How I think it really works out is like Rachaad White gets more involved in the passing game because he's still a good passer, right? It's Otton, and then I think it's McMillan. People were talking about Shepard, but McMillan was injured earlier in the year, so that's why they had Shepard playing the role. So we'll see. I think Shepard's going to be like the fourth option, and then Palmer's just going to be running deep routes. Like he's going to be the guy that kind of take the top off the defense. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah, I think Otton's going to be like a top 8-ish tight end this season. Like I really like him. So Dynasty, like I would buy Cade Otton. Are you starting Mason or Nabers this week? Because Mason's got Dallas's defense and they can't stop a nosebleed.
Yeah.
And Nabers offense. So I have Mason above Nabers. Are you rolling Mason or you going Nabers?
Nabers is playing the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mason. I mean, I know Nabers is gonna get it. Or no, they're playing Pittsburgh, even worse. At Pittsburgh. Yeah, so I'm taking Mason on this one.
Yeah, like it's going to be tough for that offense this week. I will just say that. My hope, because I like Tyrone Trace, I hope he gets a little bit involved in the passing game because he's not getting there running this week. Like that's just not happening. That Pittsburgh's defense is a nightmare against the run. Like it's just no thank you.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that Mariota plays because I picked him up because I have Daniel Jones. I'm like, I really don't want to start Daniel Jones this week as my QB2. The rest of the schedule looks fantastic. I'm in on it. I think he can do it, but this week no. But he has to.
I am curious to see how Mariota does this week because he's going against the Chicago defense. And that's a really good defense. So I do not want to play Mariota personally. He can get some rushing though. Who do you have the highest this week? Because I think between Tua, Kyler, and Caleb, I'm gonna check my rankings, but I'm pretty sure it's Caleb. I want to double check that though because I do not trust the Washington defense. So let me see. I have Caleb QB6, I have Kyler QB7, and then Tua's QB. He's like, if he plays, he'll be like quarterback 17 for me. So I'll have him.
I have Tua QB right 18 actually, right ahead of Geno. I have Caleb at QB 8 this week and Murray at 12 right now.
I think
Caleb against Washington. I think this is
juicy.
Great. Yeah, this is great for him. We're definitely going to see some big fireworks from him. All pass catchers, too. I think everyone could put up some points this week. Kyler against Miami at Miami. It's nice, man. We just haven't seen what we want to, so that's always hard to trust it. Tua, only reason why I have Tua ranked the lowest, though, is because, all right, man, I want the best, but I need to see that you're good to go, right? if it was his first, concussion, maybe different. This is the third one that looked like horrible, like just how he got hit. So
Yeah.
I just will see it, and I'm all for it because once Tua is in the offense, elevate every single player on the Dolphins offense. But need to see that first. So yeah, Caleb's the highest here.
Yeah, like Tua just doesn't really have a ceiling. Like I don't mean to sound like I'm a dick about it or anything. It's just he doesn't rush, so it's so much harder. Like he needs all the yards and all the pass, like the touchdowns, right? So like just from him, from like a standpoint of just looking at these quarterbacks, like he's going to be the lowest each and every week. You could say Caleb maybe depending on matchups, but Caleb's got a good matchup. Kyler's got a good matchup. The one thing with Kyler, to your point, he's just been so up and down. The offense, like once they get outside the like the scripted 15 plays, it's just like chaos at offense, and they can't figure it out. So hey, maybe stop running Marvin Harrison Jr. on 50% go routes. Maybe we just don't do that. We switch it out and see how it works out because it's just leading to these just ridiculous games for Kyler where he's like scrambling for his life. So I don't know. It's just been kind of disappointing, that offense. Like it's probably been the one I've been disappointed in the most. Yeah, as far as we know, like he's gonna try and play, but we just I'll look for more news recently. I haven't heard. Have you heard anything about Jayden Daniels today?
Nah, I thought it was game time still. I know he was. I think he was limited. I think he's been practicing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he practiced on Friday. So I think he's gonna try to play, but like it's limited, and I wouldn't be shocked if he just sat out this week, right? Because they're definitely in playoff contention. Like this is your $1 billion player that's like going to be carrying your franchise moving forward. And I'm sure the Commanders fans remember in the past with the whole RG3, there's probably a lot of scars there from like doing that stuff, right? Obviously not the same injury. I'm not saying like it's a 1-for-1 thing, but I'm saying like there's a lot of PTSD in that organization. Like, all right, you got to make sure this guy's healthy before you throw him back out there, right? So and then McBride and Otton, like I don't know. I love McBride, so McBride's always gonna be top 4. So yeah, I already know McBride's for me.
Yeah, McBride. I mean, we talked about Marvin Harrison. He's like the looks he's getting aren't great, but it's because McBride's getting all the great looks. And McBride consistently getting the targets and the receptions. I mean, him and Kyler have chemistry together. He's fired up, like you mentioned, top 4, if not top 3, too, every week. So.
Yeah, like he's got 26% target share, which leads all tight ends. Now he's not being the most efficient because it's been kind of up or down, but like everything around McBride screams he's basically like an impact tight end for the next 5 years in fantasy because he has Kyler. His role is great, and like, I mean, he could still lose some to Marvin Harrison Jr. and still be a really, really high end tight end. Like that's kind of right. All right. This is actually an interesting question because we were talking about this earlier with Jayden Daniels. Do you think it's time to trade him because of his schedule? It started out easy. It's going to get a little bit harder rest of season. And also the injury situation on top of it. Like, yeah, like if you can get Hurts for him, sure, I don't mind doing that. But like, I'm always going to have Hurts ranked a certain, like really high. And he's been pretty good the last couple of weeks. So I'll just ask you, are you looking to trade Jayden Daniels and redraft, or are you kind of just going to ride out the uncertainty with him?
No, redraft. I mean, if you can, yes. And if you could trade him for Hurts, I would have done that at the beginning of the season. I mean, I just think Hurts. Daniels is doing great things with that offense. He's elevating that offense, but Hurts, we know, has an offense. This is arguably the best offense he's ever had. When you add in Barkley there, Gollard's coming together. You have Smitty. You have, AJ Brown as well. There's a lot of good things for Hurts. For Daniels, yeah, there's Terry McLaurin. Okay. Zach Ertz is doing good. Robinson's running the ball. We know that. But no, if you can get Hurts, if you want to make a package, sure. But at this situation, I would say don't get greedy because Daniels is hurt. Go out there and get Hurts because I think that's just going to make your offense better. And Hurts had the bye week, so he's missing where Daniels has, I think, a week 14 bye week, if I'm not mistaken. I would definitely trade Daniels. You may have missed your shot to get something like Hurts, but if you can, yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, like that. I know the difficulty for this defense, the offense, or Philadelphia seems like it's difficult some of these matchups, but like these offenses just bleed fantasy points. Like in the passing game in particular, like I'm looking at the end of the season, it's like Baltimore, Carolina, Pittsburgh in the 15. So that's like the first week of playoffs is like Pittsburgh. So that's a little difficult, but Washington, Dallas rounding it out. Where Daniels the next couple weeks, he's got Chicago. The Giants defense isn't half bad. Then he's got Pittsburgh. He has Philadelphia, Dallas. Like Dallas's defense is not what it was, but like even towards the end of the season, it's not great matchups, but so I don't mind. Like I prefer Hurts, but like I'm not gonna be like knocking Daniels down if he's playing just because you know how valuable it is and how much he runs. Like it's just Prince fancy point. So yeah, if you can get Hurts, yeah, sure. I would maybe like consider moving him for a top 6 quarterback. I really don't want to get into the back end of QB1 range because like the impact Daniels has on your roster is incredible what he's doing. He's like winning you weeks. So personally, I would do that. All right, here's a good question. Are you starting Brian Thomas Jr. this week or are you starting Jalen Waddle? Brian Thomas Jr. is playing Green Bay. Waddle's playing Arizona. So
this is, I mean, you know what it is. This team BTJ all day. I
yeah.
don't care if two is back or not. I would start BTJ over Hill. I mean,
Mhm.
this is just I love BTJ, man. He's the alpha there. He's getting it. They're getting him more involved. He's going to get more targets as it progresses. I mean, I said it before the season. I think he could be the rookie that has the most touchdowns as a wide receiver. And right now, he's on pace to do that. So BTJ all day, man. I just absolutely love it.
Yeah, like you know, just what he's shown. Like few rookies have done this to this point in their season. It's incredible efficiency. Like he's not earning the most amount of targets or anything, but like when he catches the ball, it's like a bomb every time. Like it's white. It reminds me very much of Jamar Chase's rookie season, where Jamar Chase was averaging like 18 yards of reception and just did it throughout the season. Now I think it's a little bit hard for Brian Thomas Jr. to do that week in and week out because it's not Joe Burrow. Like it's Trevor Lawrence. The offense is not as good, but you know what you're getting. Waddle, I want to see it a little bit. So, yeah, I'm going to start BTG over him. Waddle has a really good matchup, so you can talk yourself into it. But, and I know you said you started him over BTG over Tyreek Hill, and I was like, all right, well, hold up. That was spicy. I'm not doing that. But, yeah, I'm definitely firing up BTJ like everywhere. Like, you're talking to two people that very much really like Brian Thomas Jr., so we're going to have a bias that leans into Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, Hill may have been spicy, but again, it goes to Tua, though, right? I want to see what Tua does. Don't get me wrong, I'm not mad if you start Hill. I mean, I think that's a great start because we know he has a connection with Tua and he'll get the targets. But yeah, that's just how good I think Brian Thomas Jr. has done this season, and he's only getting better. Like it's not just now; it's like he's consistently getting better each week, and they're getting him more involved. We're seeing more things come out of him. It's just looking beautiful, man. I think the second half we're going to see just some explosions just come out his way, just knocking it out the park. So.
Yeah. If Tua is healthy, like I'm not worried about Tyreek Hill. Like that's by making there's Tua, right? Like you know what Tyreek Hill is. He's potentially the best wide receiver in football. If it's not Justin Jefferson, it's him. He's just that good. Even at his age, I don't care. Where is this question? Are we playing Daniels if he's active? Yes, but you have Kyler. You have Kyler in a really good matchup against Miami. I do not trust the Miami defense. So if you're worried about Daniels, you could just play Kyler. I think I have. Let me look at the rankings, but I have Daniels one spot. Where is he? Actually, I don't know if I have him rankings because I didn't expect him to play. Yeah, so I don't have Daniels in my rankings, but if I do have Daniels in my rankings, he's going to slot right around where Joe Burrow is in that QB5 range, right with Caleb. I don't mind playing him over Kyler. I think it's if you're worried about it, just play Kyler. And then you could also go. All right, so you have like two of the best tight ends in the NFL right now, also on the other side. But we'll get to that in a second. Are you playing Daniels or are you playing Kyler? Let's see.
I actually have Daniels at. Actually, I'm switching this. I have Daniels at 8. I have Caleb above him. I just switched that around because I like that matchup better thinking about it. So Kyler Murray, though, I have him at 12 still. So I would play Kyler again. Even with Daniels active, right? Is the injury lingering? Why you have a healthy Kyler? Why not? McBride or Njoku? McBride's a safe bet. Njoku is the ceiling bet.
Njoku. So for people that don't know how ridiculous Njoku's usage was, it was the best usage basically we've seen from any tight end this year. Last week, it was ridiculous. I know I was talking about this with Jeremy, and Jeremy thought I was crazy. Njoku's pushing for tight end one side. It's him and Brock Bowers in very similar situations. The offense is crap around them. There's not a lot of good pieces, but the quarterbacks are willing to sling it to them, and they're the first read. What that means is you get a ton of targets, you get the points, and that's really all we care about tight end. So it's a lot safer with McBride. I think he's really good, but Njoku's in that tier for me. So if you want to go Njoku, realistically, if you have a bad flex play, just play both these guys is what I would say. Just play both of them. You're going to get points. So I would be curious to who your flex players are, because if we're talking about Christian Watson or Cortland Sutton, I would rather play these guys over that type of wide receiver personally.
Okay. Also, you would agree and trade. Oh, this is for the earlier one. Waddle, Deontay Dell. I don't think you need to make that trade. This is the one with Mahomes, getting Pollard and Nabers. Jefferson, the wide receiver 1. Deontay's out, so I get that too. Dell's hit or miss, so maybe.
You need Waddle bad. I like Tank Dell a lot, but that offense, they're just not clicking. So
we would agree after
Waddle
after this week. So I mean, this is because see what Waddle does, right? So if Waddle balls out, I don't think you need to do it. If Waddle at least gets a healthy target share, Deontay's out, so again that's irrelevant. But Dell too could have a big game. You never know. See, I still don't like. I don't know. I still don't like trading Kyron because I say Kyron. I would trade Kyron for Pollard and Nabers and redraft.
Yeah, I would just keep
Yeah.
personally, your running backs are really good. The issue is, I'm just gonna tell you, Jameis and Mahomes is the discussion on who to start this week. That's how bad it is for Mahomes. It's the Raiders. It should be lights out, but it has been a long time since we've seen Mahomes do the Mahomes things. He hasn't done it once this year. So I get it, the offense. Hopefully, DeAndre Hopkins, the thought process is he raises the floor and the ceiling of the offense. It's just they don't really do explosive plays. The offense just doesn't do explosive plays. It's really weird because you have all these 2018 superstars. You have Kelsey, you have Kareem Hunt, you have the Ghost of Juju. You have all of these, and now you bring in DeAndre Hopkins. It's a really old skill position group that lacks speed, and that's a problem for this offense. And that's why Xavier Worthy is so crucial. It's just it has to connect. So if Xavier Worthy can connect and kind of do what, not like Tyreek, but the idea of doing something similar, that's how it raises the floor and ceiling of this offense. We just haven't seen it. So that's why you see guys like Justin Watson, MVS, all these players kind of play a role because they're trying to find someone to do that. They just haven't done it, which is really weird. So it's just kind of, yeah. My whole concern with Deontay rest of season is if it's Bryce Young, dude, he's going to I don't want to play him. I'm just gonna tell you right now, I don't want to do that. So as much as we like Deontay earlier, I'm flipped on that. So hopefully Andy Dalton comes back with that quote little concerns because this is a nightmare.
Probably not though.
Bryce, is he gonna throw for 100 yards in this game? I don't even know. Denver's an awful defense to play. They're gonna pressure. It's just gonna be. They got guys that can shut you down on the outside. I am terrified for Bryce Young. I just want him to survive this week. That's the way I'm phrasing because they have nobody. They have nobody. I think JT Sanders is out too. The tight end. It's dude, you're throwing Xavier Leggett. You're 20. It's just that.
I forgot that's perfect sense though. I'm trying to see the rest of the season. Kyron, because right now Pollard has pretty good, but rest of the season for Kyron.
I know people like to fade Kyron, but I don't get it. He's just so valuable. He plays one of the best roles in the NFL, and he consistently produces. It's just man, even on Thursday night, you saw what Kyron did. He consistently does it. We gotta stop doubting this man. Dynasty is a different discussion because he doesn't have draft capital. I get that, but in redraft, he's a top 4 running back. It's just So you have 2 of the top, I would say 5 running backs for the season. If you could figure out your quarterback situation, I think you're going to be in a really good spot. That wide receiver core does, it worries me. So you need, getting Waddle back, I think is a really big boost for you. And Waddle should be fun this week, so you should be good. And to your question on Nabers, no, I'm not scared. But, he was from, wide receiver 1 range, the wide receiver range to, kind of a back-end wide receiver 1 where he's going to be boom bust. It's just kind of that offense. So I want to see their offense take it, be able to kind of show us they could do the stuff they did previously. They had a really bad matchup. They you play Pittsburgh, that defense is one of the best in the NFL. So it's an awful matchup. It's not good. We'll see how it goes this week. They're playing. They're playing. They're playing Pittsburgh this week. This is what worries me because they got obliterated by the Eagles. So it's you might have to just be a little bit patient with Nabers. I don't really want to trade him because the upside is incredibly high. But
the rest of the season looks great. It is this matchup, so don't sell low if he has a bad matchup. Wait a couple weeks.
Right. I think that's the thing, right? Because it will get better at some point. And because the reason why we chase these volume guys or the usage is because it's the most important thing for fantasy. The guys that get the volume and get the usage. There are certain situations like Cortland Sutton, it goes up or down, but this is why we bet on it because his first 4 weeks were just bonkers. And then he got injured. He had a bad week. It will get better because he has Washington, Carolina, and then he's got the bye in Tampa Bay, Dallas. It's going to get better. Just this week in general, we're bringing it down a little bit.
Arturo, appreciate you asking the question there. But everyone, like, comment, subscribe. We go live, all weekend going into our start show tomorrow, an hour before kickoff as well. So keep the questions coming. But we'll also be live tomorrow as well.
Oh yeah, we'll be on 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 Eastern time.
Yep.
All right. This is what I was talking about. I'm starting Cade Otton over Cortland Sutton and Christian Watson. I like the idea of Christian Watson. It's just that Green Bay offense is so hard to trust the guys consistently because it's no one, and I like Jayden Reed a lot, but no one has a super high target earning profile. And that's a problem in that team where Cade Otton, he's going to be the guy is going to be involved in the offense. It's a little bit more risky. So I'm fine playing Otton. I'm looking at my rankings right now. I have him above those guys.
And Sutton, just want to say, it's Troy Franklin's season, baby. Franklin's coming into that offense. So Sutton, you're hoping for a touchdown, but targets, it's not happening.
Carolina. That's the thing. He's playing Carolina, so you could definitely play him. I'm just gonna go Otton, Sutton, and then I'm gonna see where I have Christian Watson, but he's pretty low. Yeah, I have Christian Watson the lowest. He's playing Jacksonville, but man, it's so boom bust. It's just, I think if you want to chase like a really high ceiling, you could go Cortland Sutton. But we saw against the Saints, like he just put up a bagel. So I don't know. I have Otton, Sutton, with Watson. I would play one of the first two. Love or Hurts? I mean, Love's nice. You can't go wrong with Love. I already know like how I do my rankings. Hurts is always in that top tier. So yeah, it's going to be Hurts. I have him QB1 because he's playing Cincinnati. Like QB1, I have Jalen Hurts. So that's where I have him.
I have Jalen Hurts QB2. You know who I have QB1?
Do you have Jordan Love QB1?
Jordan Love, yeah.
Oh, spicy.
So I think Love goes off this week. Tough QB1, QB2. So flip a coin here, but I take Love over him.
Yeah, and like when I default between non-rushing and rushing quarterbacks, like the floor is just always a little bit higher than the rushing quarterbacks, so I would just default to those guys a little bit. But yeah, if you want to play Love this week, you can. It's a really good matchup. But I have Hurts QB1, so that's right. We're both really high on both of these guys. We can say that. PPR trade, give Singletary for Mostert. Yeah. Like Singletary is not starting running back with the Giants, so I don't want anything to do with him. So if you're gonna give me Mostert, like yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to buy in on Mostert. I think if you can, it's hard, man. I want to give him in Dynasty too because he's older, so I'm trying to take advantage of these people when it's like, oh, this is an older back, you don't want him, and try to get him. I think this is a great trade.
Yeah, Jeremy's been hyping Mostert up like the entire year, but now that Tua is coming back, he's like, get him. Like I had Mostert at like running back 26 this week. He was like the disrespect. I was like, dude,
Most just going off, man.
But yeah, so they're both the 1B options in their offense, right? The thing is, like, what's interesting if you go back to the early parts of the season with Tua, like Mostert was not heavily involved, so I think that worries me a little bit. But the offensive floor is much higher, and the ceiling is just higher than what Singletary is going to do. Because I don't think Singletary gets the number one job in the offense anymore. I think that's Tracy. So if you're like the second option in the Giants offense, like no way, I don't even want to play you. Like I'm not starting Singletary. I'll just say that.
That's fair.
Definitely Kyler over Tua for me.
Same. We talked about Tua. It's just the fact that we want to see it first. I mean, we're hoping it's fully ready to go. He's good, but I need to see that before I can trust him in my starting lineup. So Kyler.
All right. Who do you have as more value rest of the season? George Pickens or Garrett Wilson? I think this is actually interesting discussion, but I'll let you take it. Whatever you want to go with it.
Rest of the season with Russ as quarterback, I like Pickens. Garrett Wilson, I do enjoy, but I think we're going to see more and more Adams getting more involved or Adams being more target demanding with Aaron Rodgers. I think that's going to hurt Wilson. Wilson will be efficient, but I think Pickens with Russell Wilson there, it's just going to open him up a lot more. We're going to see a lot more bombs, which is what he's good at. So I think this is where it's going to be better for him. I'm going to take Pickens rest of the season.
I have Wilson above Pickens. Like Pickens is still boom bust in his nature, and they connected with Wilson, but like I just trust Rodgers more. I get it. Like if you think he's going to be the second option on the offense to Devontae Adams, they split it down the middle. So I'm curious to see. I don't think it's the touchdown. I think Pickens will give you more volatile week to week like upside, but I think Wilson has a much higher floor based on who he's been. I think he's the wide receiver 5 right now, which is crazy to talk about. And people just don't like this guy. George Pickens is the wide receiver 22 on the season. So like I get it. The thing about also you say Pickens schedule's late, go check out the freaking Jets schedule at the season. Like it is money at the season too. So I think both of these guys are players we should want on our roster, should be buying into because everything is setting up for them to smash in the second half of the year. Because if you outside of this New England week, you get Garrett Wilson gets Houston, he gets Arizona, he gets Indianapolis, then bye week, Seattle, Miami, Jacksonville, the Rams, and Buffalo, and like that's fancy points galore. And the Pickens schedule is really good too. So I get it. I just think Garrett Wilson's a better player. That's what it comes down to. But if you want to go Pickens, like I think it's a good discussion for them. Both are potential like top 12 options moving forward. Pickens is more like wide receiver 16 rest of the season for me.
Sure.
Let's see. Thoughts on team, what to work on. Love Nabers Metcalf. Okay, we have a lot of injuries in this wide receiver core. All right, you need to consolidate those wide receivers. Yeah.
Hall, Otton, Pollard, Brooks. I mean, you feel you need another running back.
Yes.
Is Brooks a league winner? I mean, we know Chuba's dominated. If Brooks comes back and does some things, then now you don't.
Do you hear what Canales said? They asked him if Brooks might not even play this year. He goes, possibly. I go, oh my. So that terrifies me. Like you have Achane, Pollard is lower. You need to move one of these high-end wide receivers. You have Puka. He's going to be your most valuable wide receiver moving forward. Like, I'm just going to tell you that right now. Puka is dope. He's going to be top 5. Metcalf's a top 12 wide receiver. Olave is like a top 24. You have BTJ. So I would move either whoever you can get the most value for. If it's Nabers, Metcalf, or Olave, BTJ, I'd pick one of those guys. Go shot for a high-end running back with them. If you need to package, I'm fine packaging BTJ plus for one of those guys. Like, I'm trying to get into another running back because your team is stacked to wide receiver. You have a lot of good wide receivers. Like, it's Olave. He's coming back. The Metcalf stuff's going to be out for a while, so maybe someone will buy low on Metcalf. You could do that. But you have McBride. You could also move Pitts or McBride. Like, yeah, I'm moving pieces to get a running back on your team. I will say that. Which of these guys would you trade to get a running back?
I think Nabers. I mean, Metcalf is hurt, so maybe his value's down right now, but we know he's the alpha there. Olave, we just need Carr back, and that could be something great. Puka, you want to keep because when he's back too, it just looks great. I would keep BTJ too. Like, I think he has less value than Nabers just off the name. Deontay, I don't think you have any value there. So I definitely think if you can get Nabers and go after maybe a Josh Jacobs or even just like a Najee or Swift, I think you can for it. It's gonna be hurt because I know people don't like Daniel Jones, right? So that's why I say could be harder game with the top end backs, but definitely I think you can go get another running back for him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if someone's really high on one of these guys, go trade them. The only guy I really don't want to trade is Puka because, Puka's in that offense is really, really good. Right. If it's Nabers, if it's Metcalf, it's still obvious. BTJ, Deontay, he's not even playing Deontay right now. So I would just go target teams that need a wide receiver. Go get their high end running back. So we talked about Kyron earlier. I think Kyron's a great buy because people are a little bit low on him. The Breece, Bijan, all of these guys, I would go get them. Or you could do the thing where you send one of the guys for Christian McCaffrey. And you just wait till McCaffrey comes back, and then you have McCaffrey end of year where you have that. If a team needs a wide receiver really bad, they would probably move McCaffrey for one of these high end wide receivers. I think you could do that personally. I think that could work really well for you. I mean, Aubrey's been one of the best kickers in the NFL and for fantasy too. He's just been awesome across the board. So sure. If they value, go for that. The weird thing about regular season kicker scoring is just not that valuable. They're all really close together. So even Aubrey, I think, who's the kicker one, it's not super high end scoring, right? So
Boswell's top though too, I do believe. So
yeah, he's been pretty good. I'm not big into kicker scoring, so I can't speak to much. But
let me see my kickers real quick. Side Boswell's QB1 or kicker 1.
Yeah, 12.6.
Aubrey.
Yeah, and Cybert's actually at 14 points a game for Washington. I just don't think he counts because he hasn't played enough. But yeah, you have two really good kickers. So if you could use one to package in, then go for it. You're fine, right?
This one, Boswell has a bye week coming up, and so does I think Dallas has one. Or Dallas is just had theirs, or theirs is next week, I think.
Yeah. I'm blanking on it, so I do not know. Yeah. Sorry. I should know this, but I do not. Let me look at bye week schedule real quick. I don't think that matters actually too much, but yeah, if you want to use that to your edge,
you know what I'm saying? Had the bye week, yeah.
Because they're saying right here they got Nabers because they can trade Nabers and Pickens for Jamar. I'm fine with it. That's steep. I would see if you get something back in that deal. Because Pickens, I like him a lot. But, yeah, you're getting Jamar, who's just – it's much more certain. It's a lot safer. You know what you're getting. I'm fine doing this deal. Would you do these two for Jamar?
Yeah, go get Wan'Dale Robinson. We were just talking about that. Just throw in someone that's a back end, if you can. But, yeah, definitely go get a lower-end wide receiver because I think the two have upside to be top wide receivers. But, yeah, I would trade Jamar easily, especially in a redraft league.
Yeah, I like Jamar a lot. All right, thank you, Steven, for the super chat. Appreciate you. They need to. Sure. All right, so this one's tough. I'm gonna tell you my rankings right now. I have Jordan Mason, Kareem Hunt, and then I have Devon Achane. I really like Devon Achane, and I think he's going to go nuts with the receiving work in this game because the team they're playing gives the most receiving yards to running backs in the NFL. But I want to see it a little bit. So as much as I trust this offense and all those fun things, I have Kareem Hunt going up and it's a juicy matchup. like you just got to play him. His role's really good. I have him as running back 12 going up against Vegas. I have where's Mason? I have Mason at running back 8 against Dallas. Another juicy matchup. Achane, I really like Achane. I want to put him. He's running back 13 against Arizona, but I'm gonna take the 2 guys because I don't think anyone's taking Hunt's role, and I'm expecting Mason to go nuts against that team. So for me, it's those 2 guys.
Yeah.
And Achane. How do you have the rankings?
Yeah, same. I have Mason at 10, Hunt at 11, and actually Achane at 12 here. But again, with Achane, I mean, he could do some great things, but does Mostert get all the goal line work too and just take away the touchdown? So the other 2 guys are locked in to get the goal line work too. So I'd take those 2.
I'm with you. People should look up Achane's early season receiving work. Like, it was awesome. His role. We were talking about him being a league winner because of how valuable he was in the receiving game. If that holds true with their offense, realistically, I'm flexing one of these guys. So if you need, I just put the other guy in flex, unless you have a really good wide receiver or something. Thank you for that. Are you trying to shop sell JT? Yeah, I mean, I would buy into him. He's going to come back, but with these high ankle sprains, it's usually a week or 2 of limited production once they come back. So just be patient with him. So yeah, I'm fine sending a top 12-ish wide receiver or top 12-ish running back. I would package a plus on I want JT. He was 18 points per game. The usage was not as high with Richardson, but the efficiency was out of control. So he'll be a top 8 running back rest of the season just because I don't think he's going to get the same level of volume. But once he comes back, he's really good. So personally, are you buying or selling JT?
No, I would sell him if you can, because I think with the injury concerns, his value is just going to drop the more injuries he has, and it's been 3 back-to-back seasons. So this is something that I think you can get some value out of him, especially with A-Rich back there, efficiency, because they have to take care of A-Rich as well. But if you can go out there and get a KW3, I would do that. If you can go out there and get maybe – if this is Dynasty, if you can go get Derrick Henry, I know Derrick Henry's balling, but if you can package JT with something to get Derrick Henry, I would do that. I think you could try to sell JT right now.
Yeah, the interesting thing with Aaron, with Jonathan Taylor, he's in that Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard range, where he's about 16 points per game expected. The difference is he's been the most efficient. He's been similar to Breece Hall. But yeah, Derrick Henry's been by far the most efficient on his role. He's massively out exceeding his production and what he's doing. But yeah, if you can move him into it's just really hard with a lot of these names. You're not gonna be able to move him into the high end guys. So you kind of just have to be okay with that. Start 1. Rodgers, Murray, or Tua? It's Murray. I like Rodgers, but I'm not doing it with Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not doing it with Tua. It's Kyler.
Yeah, I have Murray the highest. I have Rodgers at 21 and Tua 18 and Murray 12. So yeah, Murray.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Scano. Should I start Tolbert, Tillman, or Ridley? I have Tillman the highest. I mean, everything's setting up for Ridley. It's such a disaster that he's going to see a ton of usage. I'll just say that. But he hasn't produced yet. So it's similar to Cortland Sutton where the usage is there. The production's not happening. So you could say he's a regression candidate, but man, it's really hard to counter regression candidates with Will Levis as your quarterback. It's just it's just brutal. So I think Tillman I have the highest. I'm gonna double check. I have him at 37.
That's Tillman all day.
I'm curious where I have Tolbert because I know Tolbert's close. Yeah, I have Tolbert at 45. So it's till I have it Tillman, I have Ridley, and then I have Tolbert as outcome range. This is an interesting question. Oh yeah, good.
No, I was looking at it, but yeah, I have Tillman the highest. But go ahead. All
right. So if Zay Flowers plays, which I don't know, he's missed a couple practices. I don't expect him to play. But if Zay Flowers plays, I'm going to have Rashad Bateman below Tank Dell in my rankings. If Rashad Bateman is the wide receiver 1 on his team, I'm going to have Rashad Bateman above Tank Dell. That's how I'm kind of going to have this split up. So I'm letting you know right now that's kind of where I am between the 2 of them. Because I really like Tank Dell. I have him wide receiver 24. I probably need to move him up because Indy, it's been so bad. I have Bateman at wide receiver 45 because it's Cleveland. It's a little bit worrisome. But if he's the wide receiver 1, I will push him into that range. I'm waiting to hear before I finalize my rankings on him and Zay Flowers what's going to happen. So I won't know till tomorrow morning. It's just TBD on me like that. I think Dell's the safer option. He gives you a really high floor and a high ceiling. I'm fine doing Tank Dell. You could do Bateman. He's been really good. He looks like the first round wide receiver that was drafted a few years ago. So it's just with Zay Flowers, his role is kind of boom bust.
Agreed.
Would you go Bigsby, Nabers, and Watson for Adams and Jacobs? Yes, I would do that.
Yeah.
Like, or I'm trying to get out of Bigsby. I don't care about Christian Watson, to tell you the truth. Like, it's just kind of just whatever. So I would package those guys. Like Nabers and Adams, I think is a fair Jacobs is a fair trade off, and then those two for Adams. Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, I would do that easily. I think you're winning the rest of the season with that move.
They're trying to send JT, Jane Daniels, Pickens for Breece, Hurts, and Lazard. I mean, I don't know why Lazard's in this deal because Lazard's going to be basically nothing moving forward.
I think he's questionable too.
Option in that offense too. It's like,
yeah.
So you're getting Breece, who's the most valuable piece in this deal, and then you're getting Hurts. It's kind of that. It's really like I actually view these guys similar. Like I like Breece and Hurts over Pickens and Daniels. The JT side's really hard to like stomach giving that away, but I get it. Like you're getting two guys that are going to be playing impact. So yeah, I'm fine with that because
I think you're throwing in Pickens when you don't. I guess that makes sense if you're getting Breece and Hurts. Yeah,
I like the Todd Downing effect on Breece is incredible. Like his usage the last 2 weeks, this is like overall RB1 stuff. Like he's got 41 to 48 opportunities. He's seeing basically 90% of snaps. Like he's the focal point of the offense. Todd Downing is treating him like he's the king, like of all running backs. So if that usage sticks, looks like it's going to. Like I have Breece insanely high rest of the season. Like he's pushing RB1 for me. Like I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Saquon's the starter. Yeah, 3-man keeper. Like I get it. I understand. Yeah, that's fine. And you have Saquon too. So yeah, you'd be hitting Breece, and then you get, you know what I'm saying, Hurts, and then you have Saquon. Like that's a nice trio right there. You know what I'm saying? So I would be fine.
Moving forward, hell yeah, I would do that.
Jacobs over Kamara this week? Yes. Because the Kamara stuff terrifies me right now. Like we talked about and I know they're getting Carr back, so I'm still waiting to figure if that's coming back this week or later. That's what worries me. Like he's dealing with an issue, like the efficiency from early on the season is gone. It's just ugly usage in that offense. So I'll have Jacobs over Kamara for the rest of the season. It's just is what it is.
And then this week I have Jacobs at 8, though, and Kamara at 18. Kamara 18. Chargers defense has a nice front 7 too. So
brutal. Like he can get receiving work. Like that's what kind of Kamara always does. But like we saw last week, it was 7 receptions for freaking 14 yards or something. It's brutal because he's just not that like explosive anymore, which sucks. Damn. We talked about this earlier. I had Hurts QB1. SC had Love at QB1, so he had Hurts at QB2. So I have Love at like quarterback 4, but I prefer Hurts. He prefers Love. It's just I think Hurts is safer.
Both good.
Yeah, Both good. So it's a tough decision. So yeah, sorry to give you that. But trying to use a calculator. Yeah, I get
Smart.
it.
Smart. Just use it. Yeah.
I would. So the way I view Lazard is like he's a guy you add to a deal that makes a deal worse because you're sending someone no one wants. So like when you add those pieces to a deal, you have like they put the stink on the deal immediately. I would put a guy that has a little bit more value into the deal to make it a little bit sweeter, where it's like somebody that they could play, even if it's not somebody you're playing. So like that's why I'm like Lazard, just drop him when redraft is the way I look at it, just because you're not going to play him.
Exactly.
Trade Jayden Daniels and Otton for Hurts and McMillan. Oof.
And
I mean, you have McBride. Yeah, I mean, it's really Hurts and McDaniel. Like your Daniels are very similar. Like I like McMillan a lot. I need to see it a little bit, but you have McBride. If you want to take a shot, they have Komet. I mean, wait, so you have McBride and Komet, or you're saying they have Komet? Because I can't read this one right.
Yeah, trade Daniels and Otton for Hurts and McMillan, and have McBride. He needs a tight end. Has Komet.
Well, I don't know why anybody thinks they need to kind of Komet. He's been like a top 6 tight end.
Yeah,
really freaking good. So, yeah, I mean, I'm fine doing this deal. Like you get away from the injury risk that's Jayden Daniels right now. You get Hurts, and then it's like McMillan.
You can either be a week ahead of this trade, or you can be a season ahead of this trade with McMillan. What does McMillan do with us in this offense? Right, that's where I think it comes down to.
I like it.
I love it. Yeah, I think this is an awesome trade dynasty wise. And I personally have Hurts over Daniels. I know Daniels is balling, but again, we're talking about the offense around him. Hurts' second season can go off the chart. He missed AJ Brown for a lot of it, right? Smitty was injured too. His wide receivers are healthy. Gollard's hurt. Okay, that's fine. Still Barkley's there. So I mean, I think Hurts better offense around the rest of the season. So I go him.
Yeah, I think Hurts is a little more dependent on the talent around him. We're seeing this. Like he needs AJ Brown. He needs Devonta Smith. Like we're seeing this. It's basically like Jayden Daniels. It's the running back room with Brian Robinson. It's a little bit Austin Eckler, and it's freaking Terry McLaurin, and the rest of those wide receivers are just not good. The tight end is the ghost of Zach Ertz. So I think the talent is clearly more on Jayden Daniels' side. But the situation, if this is redraft, like I'm fine doing it with Hurts. You know what there is. And we talked about this, like the schedule rest season. It lines up really nicely for them. So yeah, you just in Dynasty, like I might prefer Jayden Daniels' side. Like I have him clearly above Hurts. Like he's super young, you know what it is. But redraft, like you take the upside shot and make him because you have McBride. Unless you're flexing on, right? You're not playing. So yeah.
I think it depends who you ask. I think it could be. I think this is one of those trades though where I don't think any team is necessary. I take Hurts over Daniels, but I don't think this is a huge jump. So I think with just doing a 1-for-1 like that, it's in a sense an irrelevant trade. Like you're not making your team that much better. It could be better with Hurts, but you're not making your team that much worse getting Daniels either. So
yeah, like the one thing is like with Daniels, like due to the injury concern, people are going to be like, why would I trade you Hurts for Daniels, right? Because you have Hurts, he's not dealing with the injuries. Daniels was dealing with that. And if we look at scoring, like Hurts is the quarterback too. Daniels, because he got hurt, like his quarterback production like took a hit. So it's a little bit like unfair based on a points per game basis. But like, I mean, I don't know, man. Like I'd be fine. Sorry. So I was reading the wrong season. I'm sorry about that. Jayden Daniels is quarterback 5 right now because he took a hit. He's basically quarterback 1 with Lamar, and then he took a hit with 5 points per game. Hurts is right there at 19.4 points per game, but you're seeing it's been pretty consistent with him. So I think it's a fair. You can shoot your shot with it because people don't think Hurts is that good of an NFL quarterback, and when people think that, like it kind of influences how they view him in trades. So yeah, like that's fine.
This is just building on it. Very focused game, Breece.
I want Breece on everywhere. Like if you can get Breece, like yes.
Yeah. And then he goes on to say,
it's got Cup,
Breed, Amari, Waddle. Yeah. So he's sending Pickens.
Yeah, like that's fine. I'd be fine sending Pickens to Breece.
So in a sense, this was kind of you. It's ATM for throwing in Lazard just to make it fair. I get it, but yeah, even with your team, the Lazar's your team's stacked. So I mean, yeah, if you can go out there and get Hurts and Breece, bro, go do it. I would do it 100%.
Yeah, like because you have the wide receivers, right? So you want that high impact running back. So yeah, like I like that.
I love it.
Good. A lot of good questions here. Anything else you want to hit up, SC?
Nah, man. I appreciate everyone joining in. Everyone's still tuning in. Don't forget, appreciate you. HTM. I was just throwing that in there. Yeah, appreciate you subscribing. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. We love it coming in. The weekends, we're doing it here, as far as Sunday morning, answering all your starts and sits, so these Jayden Daniel questions, maybe we have more news tomorrow morning. It could definitely be easier for y'all, but don't forget to tune in tomorrow as well. Always a fun time doing the roundtable, just talking some football talk. So
yeah, I think so we'll look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow morning at 8:30 Pacific time. And yeah, for SC, myself, Aaron, Jeremy, we'll see y'all tomorrow. So take care. If I can find the promo and exit out. Oh, we got one comment here. Let's do this real quick. 8:30 tomorrow morning Pacific, 11:30 Eastern time. So we are going on about 90 minutes before. So yes, exactly. Let's ride is right. So yeah, I'm gonna end the stream. All right.
There you go. Peace.